So I'm here to talk about the Alerting Tools Portal, which is just another portal. Think about portal just like you think about website. There's lots and lots of portals. There's lots and lots of websites out there. So anyway, I wanted to thank you all for joining us today at the IPAWS Users Conference. My name is Mark Lucero. I'm the head of engineering here in IPAWS, and I lead the team that's responsible for making all of those alerts that you create go to the public. We don't do it alone, of course. We rely on a cast of thousands to make this all work. That includes my cohorts at FEMA, includes the FCC, includes cell carriers, broadcasters, and of course the alerting software companies that craft the alerting tools that you use to send those alerts. So within engineering, our job is to keep those FEMA systems running, maintain our cybersecurity posture, and coordinate with interconnected systems and coordinate with all of our stakeholders. One of the other very important jobs that we have is to make sure that these IPAWS services that we provide are actually meeting your needs. So we regularly collect feedback from all of our stakeholders across the entire alerting ecosystem. What works, what doesn't work, what kind of bugs have you run into, what roadblocks or impediments are there that are preventing you from doing your job, and then of course requests for new functionality. And today, that's what I'm talking about here is new functionality. Now, it's not like you say I want to see this new functionality and we can snap our fingers and have it done. Some of these changes require FCC actions to change the rules. So think of 360 characters or improved geotargeting. That required FCC to make changes to rules. And then that also required changes to standards and changes to the cellular infrastructure. So those enhancements take a long time. But there are some things that are within our direct control within FEMA, and we should be able to turn those things around quickly. At least as compared to some of those other larger enhancements. Okay, so one of those things that we should be able to turn around rather quickly is this thing we've been working on called the IPAWS Alerting Tools Portal, or ATP, since we love acronyms so much. The Alerting Tools Portal, really there's two major purposes for creating this service, right? Number one is to be able to deliver capabilities to you, the alerting authorities, in direct response to your needs. So you tell us what you need and we turn around and give it to you. The second primary purpose for this service is so that we can very rapidly turn these capabilities around without compromising performance or security of the systems. So we concluded the best way to do this is to stand up this portal. And don't get wrapped around the axles of the terminology. Basically what this is, it's going to be a big container that's going to store all of these capabilities and services that you're looking for. So this is what we envision the Alerting Tools Portal to be. It looks just like a website, but it's going to have a bunch of buttons where you can click on these buttons and it'll take you to that service that you are looking for, that service that you want. And should have the flexibility to add buttons, add capabilities as you request them. So in this example, I've got two buttons in this mock-up. These are the two, low-hanging fruit buttons that we're going to add to this Alerting Tools Portal. We envision that when you come to the Alerting Tools Portal and you click on that Message Viewer button, it's going to bring up the Message Viewer. Hopefully, I think that in the poll results, it looks like there are a few of you who have not seen the new redesigned Message Viewer. So please take advantage of that. Take a look at that. But effectively, we're going to take that message viewer and stick that into the Alerting Tools Portal, one-stop shopping for the things that you need. So you click that button and it brings up the message viewer, and then you can operate that as you normally would, as you expect. In this mock-up, we also will have a button for the message design dashboard that Dr. Sutton spoke to earlier. So you click on that button and it brings up the message design dashboard, and you work through that workflow and create those messages as she described. And this, again, is going to be another capability that's going to be contained within this Alerting Tools Portal container. So, okay, it's a bunch of stuff that already exists and you stick them in one spot, right? Well, sort of, but with the additional capability of making it tailored to your needs. So we wanted to make sure that we could achieve these goals of providing you with these services and tailor them to the user experience that meets your individual needs. So instead of going to the message design dashboard and working through it for the first time, or going to the message viewer and navigating through it, we want to be able to set up a way to capture your own user profile, where we can remember your COG ID, any user preferences. You'll be able to save some templates so that when you come back to this tool in the future, that you don't have to start from scratch and walk through everything. We want to make sure that we can capture your information for these existing capabilities, but also to support future capabilities that might come in down the road. So this is how we're going to do it. This is an example, kind of a screenshot of how you would set up your basic permissions. You're not going to need a computer science degree in order to do these things. It should be pretty straightforward. If you're used to interfacing with any web page, you'll be able to. It should be intuitive. And if it's not, or if you're having problems, we're here to take that feedback. We're 100% open to user feedback on these capabilities. Is it going to meet your needs? Is it meeting your needs? Are there problems? Could we do this or that better? Suffice it to say, we do want to collect your feedback to make sure that these offerings are providing a useful service for you. So what do we have planned? There's a couple of things we have on the roadmap already. I mentioned the message viewer, the message design dashboard, and then you also heard about the proficiency demo scenarios. I think right now they're on the FEMA.gov webpage. We're going to bring that into the Alerting Tools Portal, again, to facilitate that one-stop shopping for those, for your needs, for training, testing, and developing proficiency. We also want to include an IPAWS open status indicator. We've had some feedback that says, hey, where do I go to see if IPAWS is up or down? So, the idea here is to give you kind of a straightforward stoplight. Hey, what's the IPAWS status? And potentially even the ability to look back to say, hey, was it online 10 minutes ago when what have you? And of course, I'm going to keep hammering away. We want to get your feedback on, are these things going to meet your needs? Is there something missing? Which, this is the big ask I have of you. We want you to think of this as your service, and we want to be able to be responsive to your needs. Otherwise, that's in government, we have this term, a self-licking ice cream cone, where you have a program that feeds itself its own requirements and builds its own requirements, or builds its capabilities in response to the requirements that we generated. We want to make sure that we can get your feedback so that we're building stuff that you want. So your wish is our command. You just need to tell us what that wish is so that we can build it for you. So there's a couple of ways that we can get feedback from you. You can go to the IPAWS at FEMA.dhs.gov, send us information. There's a Google Doc here in this link. It's intended to gather your feedback in a form. So you can use that to give us some ideas of some new capabilities that you'd like to see. Also in this chat, if you have an idea that you've been sitting on for a while and you say, hey, I would love for FEMA to build this, or I would love to FEMA to fix that, because it hasn't been working for me, or because I've seen this in some other tool and I'd love to see it in IPAWS. So we have all these people, we're paying them all this money to sit around waiting for you guys to tell us what to build. And so this is your opportunity to get your tax dollars the best return on investment, right? And if it's within the realm of possibility, then we can build it for you. That's our commitment. Next slide. I think this is the last one. They didn't give me a whole ton of time. They saved the best for last, like I said, but I do want to give everybody an opportunity to ask questions, and I'm here to address any sorts of questions you have. And I guess I'll turn it over to the MC for any questions.
Mark, I just wanted to make sure you talked about the iOS 17 and you can talk about.
Oh yeah.
Were you going to mention that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Almost forgot. I did forget. Yes, sir. So iOS 17 was released last Monday. So if you've got an iPhone and you've downloaded iOS 17, there's a new capability in there. We worked with Apple to provide this. Well, they did all the work. iOS 17 was released last Monday. And within iOS 17, when you get a wireless emergency alert, if you tap it, it will retrieve all the information that's contained within the instruction element in your CAP message. So when you craft your message, you populate your 90-character WIA text, your 360-character WIA text, and in the instruction element, you can populate information there. And so when the public receives that WIA, if they tap it, it'll display whatever information you put in that instruction element. We're looking forward to seeing how this works in the national test coming up on October 4th. We are going to include information in that instructions element, and we hope to see how that performs. It's important to note that that is not actually a feature of WIA. It's not regulated by the FCC. That's something that Apple, on their own initiative, decided to implement within iOS 17. So I know there's going to be a question, hey, does this work in Android? So far, no, we have not talked to them about including something like this. This was an idea that Apple came to us with. So we'd be very happy to speak with the folks over at Google to include this in their software as well. So any other questions?
The Android question did come up. You answered that. Thanks, Mark. Are we doing outreach, or is Apple doing outreach about iOS 17? I think that is more of an Apple question, but can you address that?
Yeah. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of information about iOS 17, a lot of the other features. I have not seen a lot of information, or I haven't seen any public information about this new capability with WIA. So it's not clear to me why this hasn't been announced or why it hasn't been promoted in any way, but I think that certainly after the national test, it's going to be the public's first introduction to this capability. So I think probably best for me to get with Apple and see if we can come up with some mutually agreed upon response when those questions do come in. So thanks for that question.
I'm going to stay off camera just because I think it might be affecting the bandwidth here. About the feedback, and Regina, Jen, or Al, feel free to chime in here as well. Are we taking feedback on the WIA demo app? Is there going to be an update to that app in the future, or it is what it is forever?
We of course would like to get people's input for the coming versions of it. All software gets improved time after time, so please feel free to provide us your recommendations. Just don't be upset if it doesn't happen right away, because we only have a certain amount of bandwidth to do these things. But yeah, we welcome your suggestions.
Thanks, Al. And then going back to the iOS 17, Mark, you mentioned it's using the instruction field for EAS. Does that conflict with EAS? How should an alerting authority go about doing that?
Yeah, great question. So that's some decisions that you'll have to make when you craft your alerts. So if you're creating one message for delivery over EAS and WIA, you should know that whatever you put in that instruction element will go out to EAS, and it will be delivered to the phone iOS 17 only by using that tap feature. So if you want them to say different things by design, then the recommendation would be to send separate messages. Send a separate WIA and a separate EAS so that you can tailor the text that goes into the instruction element for each of those pathways. But I do want to stress that, again, this is not a function of WIA. This is something that Apple has on their own decided that they wanted to provide. It's a great addition, but I would use caution to tailor each alert that you create for each individual way of presenting to the public. Because imagine if it was Apple did it one way Android did something else. There was a signboard that did something, and there was a toaster that displayed in a certain way. You know, it might start to become cumbersome to try and accommodate each of these different technologies at the very far end. You know, I would recommend that you focus your alerts for the EAS or for the WIA that you're intending to send out.
And Mark, are we testing this during the national test next week? Are we going to include an extra 600?
Yes, so the extra 600 characters in the instruction element will be in that WIA message we send out. So we do expect to see that displayed on iPhones that have iOS 17 if they tap the WIA message. We're not collecting any information about that, again, because it's not part of WIA. But I think anecdotally we're going to see, you know, what the response looks like. And I will note that if there are any questions about this, Apple has confirmed to us that they have capacity to support all the tapping that would take place when they get those WIA messages. They said that, you know, if 270, 300, you know, million cell phones all tap it all at once, that they have the capacity to support that.
And David, to answer the last part of that question, how would someone know to press on the message to get more instructions? It's really not made known. If you tap on it, it pops. If you don't, the content could still be there, but you won't see it. And that's confirmed from Apple.